What's up, nerds? It's your boy coming to you live, going for a walk in the park because I need to clear my head. It has been an ugly, frustrating, aggravating, disappointing 72 hours for the OG GM, both in gaming terms and in real life. I am trying to present the information from the D&D conference thinking in as many different ways as I can, just to break it up, just to offer multiple alternatives, because there's so much to go through and I want to keep it interesting, and I'm trying to be fair and unbiased. Honestly, I'm really trying, but Wizards of the Coast, you're making it so hard. You know, there was like 5 seconds this year when I was like, yeah, I could still play 5e if somebody else was running it, but now it's like, I don't even know what it is anymore. And apparently neither does Wizards of the Coast. So rather than just going down the whole thing again, I decided to incapitulate it. You know what I mean. Break it down into sound bites, blipverts, meaningful conversations. So it seems as the day progressed and it got towards the end of day one, and now it sounds like it was just a one-day conference. So you flew me all the way from the other end of the earth for a one-day conference? Thanks. I don't know if they're doing anything today. We haven't heard anything about today. We're just hearing stuff about yesterday, and apparently it was extremely disappointing. Disappointing so much so that even some of the most strongest, vigilant defenders of Wizards of the Coast were walking away from the conference frustrated, feeling like nothing was answered. And then it appears as the day progressed, especially towards the last two panels, the VTT panel and the one D&D Future of Dungeons and Dragons panel, they lost control. They apparently were not prepared for any of the questions that they were asked. It looks like some of the creators left. Some of the more volatile creators like Connie Chang and those guys started pouncing on them, started just butting heads, starting asking questions of the people there who are not prepared. It became more and more apparent that when, questions about actual plans or technical specifics or what, if anything, can we expect in 2024 were asked, they were met with responses that were less than fulfilling, and people responded in kind, especially people who traveled a long way. So yeah, and somebody posted at me that I shouldn't be so hard because the VTT that they saw was just an alpha presentation, and anybody who went there expecting a finished product was just delusioning themselves, which of course I would agree with, except that's not what Wizards of the Coast told us. And after having D&D Direct, where we already saw everything that has been done with the VTT so far, people who were at the conference obviously expected more. You invited me to this top secret thing, so show me stuff that nobody else has seen, and they failed to do that. And further, they failed to tell them anything resembling actual information. At least that's what I'm inferring from what I'm reading and what I've seen. So rather than go through everything, let's just break it down. So in regards to whatever we're going to see in 2024, when are we going to see it? No date. What is it going to be? No date. How many books is it going to be? No information. What other information products are going to come out in 2024 besides the new player's handbook? We're definitely guaranteed a new player's handbook with at least bare minimum 64 new pages of information, including art. Tons and tons of unnecessary art to jack up the price. Literally, it says almost every page is information, and then the page after that is some form of art. So we're looking at least bare minimum, the digital copy is going to cost you 60, 70, 80 bucks, and the physical copy You know, the bargain door target copy of the new 2024 Players Handbook, we're looking at 60, 70, 80 bucks. And then for the deluxe super edition, probably 100 plus. And then there's going to be a continuing series of DLCs because they want to monetize that. Now, here's where things get contradictory in the fact that whatever we're seeing in 2024 is not a 6th edition. Okay, but it's not 5.5 either. So it's not a new edition. It's not an extension of the current edition. We are not changing everything, but we are changing things. There's going to be a new Player's Handbook. And we went over this when we talked about the D&D Beyond stuff and the contradictory information that they were giving in regards to backwards compatibility. You cannot tell us it's 100% backwards compatible and you need to buy new stuff, and then also tell us you need to buy new stuff because it's not going to be backwards compatible, which literally is what Wizards of the Coast told us. And if you don't believe me, you can go look at the documented statements that they made. You have to buy a new Player's Handbook because the information is not going to automatically upload to the Player's Handbook if you already have one. Therefore, it's not backwards compatible, but it will be backwards compatible. Then, of course, we got questions about the inclusion review and stuff like that. This is where there was at least 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, where Wizards completely lost control and allowed the virtue signalers, the woke defenders, the 5e haters to bombard them with the questions about inclusion, racism, no place for ugly white guys in D&D, how D&D has to change. These bullies, these bullies who are taking actual causes and actual concerns about things like, homophobia and turning it into these personal crusades to get attention. Connie Chang doesn't give a fuck about you, okay? She's an attention whore who is just trying to milk the current outrage. And she and her ilk were given an inch and they pounced. So, okay. Will our current courts in D&D books Beyond just get upgraded in 2024? No. They are brand new books with brand new content. So you will have to buy a brand new book. It will not automatically get upgraded. Every book you have on D&D Beyond, you're going to have to buy the new 2024 version or the DLC. What is the future path for supporting homebrew on D&D Beyond and the VTT? We haven't got there, but we want you to know that VTT is an ecosystem. Now here again, we have contradictory statements from Wizards of the Coast that make no sense. Okay, statement number 1. Whatever you put on the VTT is yours. It's not ours. Statement number 2. We are not going to censor content anymore. Statement number 3. Anything you put on D&D Beyond becomes the sole property of Wizards of the Coast. Statement number 4. We will be instituting cultural consultant guidelines and monitors and mentors for any content put on D&D Beyond by third parties. So we're not going to be censoring you, but we are going to be censoring you. You own everything you put on D&D Beyond, but we own it. Do future users of D&D Beyond and the virtual tabletop have to worry about the monetization? Yes, you have to think about the monetization. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, black and white from the mouth of Chris Perkins himself. The monetization of D&D Beyond, Dungeons and Dragons, virtual tabletop is a thing, and it is a thing anybody who wants to use the VTT has to be concerned with. You are going to be hit with those blipverts. You're going to be hit with those lads. You're going to be hit with those not so subtle requests telling you, if you want the best playthrough, get this. If you want your character to be this good, get this. If you've ever played through Path of Exile and seen how they monetize Path of Exile, look at that as a blueprint for what we can expect from D&D going forward. Will we see more of D&D at conventions? Yes, we will be going to more conventions. When did you stop? I talked about this before. When did you stop? You're still at conventions. Every official sanctioned Magic the Gathering event is you. Every official sanctioned Adventurers League event is you. You're at conventions. Now, and actually, then we got, again, a bunch of the creators going, hey, because of your stupidity, Wizards of the Coast, we're getting blamed. We reported the news, we got attacked, you did nothing. We are getting harassed, we're getting the threats because of what you did. What are you going to do, Wizards of the Coast, on behalf of all of us who have taken the hit for you because you refuse to fess up? And that's what they said. They said, when creators are constantly taking the hits on behalf of Wizards of the K, because we're the people that the people can access because we can't talk to you, it takes a toll on us. Are you putting together anything to protect us? Okay, and this is a viable concern. People like me, people like Jeannie D, people like Bob Wilder, people like Mark Holmes, people like Professor Dungeon Master, who report the news, are getting attacked constantly. Wizards of the Coast has done nothing to step up. Instead, they let us take the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune so they can come out looking rosy. And the content creators asked, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about this? Because we're getting shot because of you. And their response was, we're putting together mental health and support resources. We're putting together mental health and support resources. So now that you, Jeannie D, have been verbally abused in multiple videos because of your stance on Dungeons and Dragons, we want you to know that we have mental health options available for you, just in case you're not smart enough to find them on your own, or know that your city has probably at least one free mental health organization. We at Wizards of the Coast want you to know we care about the fact that you're getting abused on our behalf. So there's got to be a thing. You can, talk to a web thing. Yeah, thanks. I got shot, Wizards of the Coast, for you, and your response is, oh, here's a Band-Aid. Sorry. How about you step up, Wizards of the Coast? How about you take responsibility for the situation you've created? Nope, that's not going to happen. And finally, in regards to their plans for the future of Dungeons and Dragons, they want you to know that it's not about the history of D&D. They don't care about D&D the past. They don't care about anybody who played D&D 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. They don't care about you. They don't even care about the 5e players. They care about the future players. They care about the people who are going to give them as much money as they could. That's what we can break down from it. Now, was there anything came out of there that I can say was a good thing? Can I push together my anger, my frustration, my just utter disgust, my personal bullshit, and just look at it and say, was there anything in here that I thought, number-wise, was good? Because in the past I've said, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. You did it wrong, Wizards of the Coast, but that's a good idea. On paper, that's a good idea. No, I'm sorry. There is nothing that I am seeing here that makes me think this could work, or even this could work if it was anybody else but Wizards of the Coast. No, I'm just seeing this and going, This is dumb. This is ridiculous. There's nothing here of merit. There's nothing here that reaffirms my faith that Wizards of the Coast is handling Dungeons and Dragons in the way that it should be handled in 2023. Yes, it needs to be a viable digital option because that's where the world is. We live in a digital world. D&D does need to be digital. It does, both economically and to reach the largest amount of people. That is an undeniable fact. Everything else, including all this stuff about inclusion and mental health and white people and diversity hirings and backwards but not backwards compatible, and it's not a new edition but it is a new tradition, it's just double talk. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's just unprepared people coming out and tap dancing, trying to convince you that they have everything in control and they were prepared. But it's painfully obvious that we weren't prepared for this. And the fact that things broke down so quickly is proof. But don't believe me. Go look at the other reviews. Go read. Go look it up. The information's there. I'm just paraphrasing. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe your eyes. You can just look at the numbers, okay? And here is your numbers. Hasbro stock dropped $2 between this time yesterday and this time today. In 24 hours, it dropped $2. Honor Amongst Thieves just beat Shazam 2 for the worst opening week. You know, if you've been following the news, Shazam 2 got barbecued. I mean, its ratings, its money, everything. It is going to come out as quite possibly the worst film DC has made before James Gunn took over. Honor Amongst Thieves has replaced that. People now think Shazam 2 made more money and was a better film than Honor Amongst Thieves. So don't believe anything I have just said, ladies and gentlemen. Just believe what you can read with your own eyes. Black and white, the links are down below. If you want to see it for yourself, that's all I have to say. I am exhausted. I'm the OG GM. You know what to do. Talk to you later.